Hi, I'm Ben Papapietro, owner and winemaker at Papapietro Perry Winery.
And I'm David Lowe, assistant winemaker at Papapietro Perry Winery.
And I'm Tyson Freeman, cellar master.
We are very fortunate to work with the consummate grower, the Nunes family, Fred and Wendy. We've been working with them since 2008. We've had great experience with working with them.
It's been a marriage made in heaven because of our approach that we have to understanding and making Pinot Noir. One of the things that I did want to mention was that how important it is to have the winemakers come into the vineyard, and I can only do so much, and I get a lot of influence from what they're telling me. So if there is something I can do to mitigate something, I will definitely consider it. So it's important that we have this rapport with the winemakers.
And when you've talked with Fred and you see how interested he is in his vineyard, it's fun to walk with him because he'll give you a blow-by-blow on almost each row and possibly each vine. He has them zeroed in. So you have to spend the day when you go walk with Fred.
Which we do frequently throughout the year, and especially leading up to harvest. We'll go out there and Fred will come out and meet us, and we'll walk around the vineyards and talk about where we're at and when we think things will be ready, and trying to schedule picks and stuff like that.
Every year I look forward to having Ben and Bruce and Dave Lowe and Tyson Freeman to come into the vineyard and walk with me and tell me what they see. A lot of times there's not a lot that I can do except to recognize the trends, so that we'll go in and we'll say, well, this year, because of, usually it's the amount of heat that we have during the year or the amount of drought that we have in a year, that definitely influences the character of the fruit, and I like to get their feedback. I always characterize the vineyard as being like trying to control a real large ocean liner in the water. You're not going to be able to make a quick turn. So if you can recognize these trends early enough, you can affect some change. And we're always looking to affect a positive change in the vineyard to, again, drive it towards the style and the expectation that Papapietro Perry is looking for.
And the beauty is working with them a long time. We've used that fruit from that vineyard for almost 14 years, and we really learned how to work with it and how well it performs. So keeping our relationship with them is very important.
Then we can shade. We don't always pick in the same places for them. We'll shade in, one way or another, depending on how the vineyard is a certain year. And some years this area over here will grow a little bit more the kind of fruit they want. So we'll kind of shade them that way, and we can move around. Fortunately, we have enough fruit out there that for our designates we can do that. We can custom pick and change it for each vintage slightly. I mean, most of the time we pick in the same areas because we know what they want. They know what they want, But sometimes it moves a little.
18 was another dry.
This is 18.
A dry year.
18 was dry.
Yeah, we only had 75% of the rainfall in 18, and it does influence the vine. Again, our vines, because they are shallow rooted, and because the grape rootstock itself is considered devigored and very drought intolerant, the drought years do have an effect. And usually what that does is we'll get a more concentrated wine, and some of the flavors will be more developed. And really what that means is a little more oxidized. So little less methoxypyrazine, that greeny one, and a little more of the phenolic ripeness, where you actually start getting bigger flavors, where the flavors become more pronounced and distinctive.
Yeah, the wines, we've worked with it since 2008, so we've seen it in a lot of different vintages, under a lot of different conditions, and the wines have a pretty wide range of style, depending on the year, but always very impressive. Good structure, really good mix of deep blue and red fruit, and some earth, some Russian River earth, and brambly flavors, and always really interesting. Very impressed with the outcome.
What I always really like about Papapietro Perry's wines are that they're so delicately balanced. They're really nice medium, a medium weight, really delicately balanced with lots and lots of layers. This one has this fabulous nose, isn't it? Oh yeah, that's our fruit. I mean, I really can taste our vineyard through different winemakers, and I always love Ben's wines. They're so consistent. And
For me, when we do harvest the fruit and we bring it into the winery, I'm all about where we are on that phenolic development, that phenolic ripeness. Where did we end up in all this as we bring it into the winery? But it's just magical what they do at the winery. Ben and Bruce and Dave and Tyson, they do a lot of winemaking technique, like the different kinds of yeast they use, the duration of the fermentation. They like to cold soak the fruit in dry ice, and that's a technique that they use in Burgundy, and the reason is that the anthocyanin phenolic is water soluble, so that if you start the fermentation, you may get to the point where the alcohol builds rapidly enough that it won't extract the color out of the skin of the fruit. Because Pinot Noir has the odd characteristic that it's only half the color, flavor, and aroma of any other red varietal, we're very, very conscious about what the concentration of the color, flavor, and aromas are. And at the winery, it's one of the practices that they keep it in the water form. They delay fermentation. That gives it a chance to extract more of the color. So those are the kind of tricks they do in the winery that I'm in awe of. So for me, it's bring in those basic elements, bring in the substrate, and then let the winemaker do the magic.
So cheers to Fred and Wendy Nunes. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.